Hello, very good afternoon, everybody. It is officially afternoon, I think. Welcome to our season finale of We Are Careers. Hard to believe we've already reached the end of Series 5. We'll be explaining a little bit at the end about what's going to be happening for our next series, but enjoy for now. You have half an hour with us for our season finale. Welcome back to We Are Careers. If you've not watched it before, brief introduction. My name is Chris Webb. I'm a higher education careers professional and registered career development professional with the CDI. And I'm joined, as always, by my fabulous co-host, Sabiha. So, Sabiha, how are we doing today? Having a good Wednesday following the Easter break?
I am. A good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Chris, for the warm welcome. For those of you that don't know me, I'm known as Sabiha, and I work internationally, helping young professionals get unstuck and getting them back into career flow without the stress. And I'm also the creator of the I Am Thriving Career Coaching Program. And I'm really excited because today we're going to be talking about all things career theories. Which one's your favorites? And make sure that you stay tuned till the end, because we've got, as always, an absolute bumper jam-packed of not only CDI news, but also sort of kind of across the board what's happening across the sector. And because it is our last show of the season, as Chris mentioned, we've got jam-packed with lots of great resources included in today's resources show. As always, we like to do a shout out to the fabulous new members who have joined our community. And you'll notice that today the show is a little bit different. We don't have a guest speaker. Now, unfortunately, and due to circumstances beyond all of our controls, we have had to postpone. So you might have been waiting for Michael to join us today, but don't panic, because next season he will be joining us. So if you are interested and you're keen, make sure you stay tuned to the end. We're going to be releasing our season dates at the end of the show. Now, where are you watching from? I know many of our viewers love to watch us live, but so many of you also love watching us on the replay. So let us know. Pop into the chat comment right now. Let us know, where are you watching from? What part of the UK or the world, for that matter, are you watching us from? Now, each show, we like to celebrate the newest registered career development professional. These are the members of our community. And if you are wondering, by accident you stumbled upon this, maybe you were suffering from insomniac and you came across this show, keep watching. I'm sure you'll learn and take something from this. And we like to give a warm welcome, and so I'm going to run through the latest RCDP members. And if you are curious to know how you can become an RCDP member, then please head on over to the CDI website and head on over to the website. There's a ton of information, and also there's information about how you can become a member as well. And for less than a price for Starbucks coffee, you can get access to a whole ton of resources. So please do join me. If you're watching live, drop that clapping emoji, that smiley face. Let's show some appreciation and a warm welcome to our newest members. And if you're watching on the replay, then of course, by all means as well, you can use the comment section to give the newest members a warm welcome. So we have Gary Soska, Leroy Krakow, Haley Romain, Helen Buzdagan, I hope I said that correctly, Abigail Chambers, Nikki Howe, Kay Bernard, Leanne Glover. Sorry, I just had to make sure I was looking at my screen clearly then. Leanne Glover. So welcome. Did you see your name? Maybe perhaps you saw a fellow colleague's name or a friend's name in the list. If you did, tag them. Make sure that you don't miss any of these shows, that you tag and like and subscribe. And as always, if you are wondering of how you can get the latest updates of when these shows go live, so hitting that subscription button, hitting that like button, hitting that follow button will allow you to make sure that you never miss a show. Now, I've done something. I've forgotten to put my CDI pin on today. Chris, are you wearing yours? Oh.
Yes, is the answer.
Okay, fabulous. Now, for anyone that's wondering, how do they get their hands on their CDI pin? There we go. You can see it now. Well done, Chris. Fabulous. How does one go about getting access to their CDI pin, Chris?
Sorry, Sabiha, I cut out there. I think that's my internet. So don't worry, we'll add that information to the show resources document. But needless to say, I think we've kind of had some stuff on the Facebook community of practice about RCDP pins. There's quite a few threads on there. So if you are a CDI member, loads of stuff on the Facebook community of practice, which is where we kind of want people to be anyway, isn't it? To engage with the community. So yes, but great to see as well in the chat. We've got quite a lot of people talking about, great to hear about the new RCDPs, other people wearing their badges with pride, which is great. Lots of people saying hello, which is fantastic as well. Lots of lovely new names in the ranks, as Carolyn Parry has said. Somebody, again, I can't see your name, unfortunately. It's just coming up as Facebook user for me. Somebody saying hello from sunny Malvern. I'm going to be in Malvern in July. Very much looking forward to it. Never been there. People kind of saying hi from East Yorkshire, Yorkshire representation, Nottingham, Bristol. Lots of people around the country watching today. So that's fantastic.
Oh,
so yeah, over to the core part of the show. What are we? You've kind of touched on it a little bit already. What are we going to be kind of tackling in today's show?
Well, when we put our heads together, didn't we, Chris? And this was something that we were sort of quite keen to talk about, weren't we? And we said that the career theories of everything, and we're going to be sharing with you. Now, there are so many, and we appreciate that there are so many. And so what Chris and I wanted to do today was kind of crack it open a little bit. And we're going to be talking, you know, to the students, the newest sort of kind of members who have joined our community. Perhaps maybe you've got your face crammed in a book right now, looking at a career development theory book, or maybe you're like Chris and I, you know, a bit of a seasoned professional who's been around the block or two, and is, you know, it's always good to refresh. I always think so. And I know I definitely had to dust off some of my books in preparation for today's show. So that's what we're going to be exploring. And we're going to be sharing with you our favorites, but also as well, we want to hear from you. What are your favorites? What are the kind of go-to theory frameworks and models that you sort of go to? Now, Chris, I know we had some questions, and I know you've got some questions for me to kickstart off this conversation. So yeah, what did you want to ask me, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely, Sabiha. And I'm pleased to say that we're probably get some really interesting thoughts and kind of insights in the chat today. We've got people from Ireland, from Glasgow, Australia, all over the UK and beyond.
Oh, I love that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We love having you. And as well, like, please engage with us. One of the reasons why Chris and I started this show was not only to sort of kind of share the things that sort of inspire us, that motivate us, but also as well, we want to hear from you. We want to connect with you. We want to bring you engaging content that allows you to not only improve your CPD, but also as well gives you that sense of community, because I know for some practitioners it can be it can feel very isolating, you know, doing the work that we do as well, especially if you're working in a industry with an organization where perhaps maybe you're the only professional doing what you do. So go on, Chris. What did you want? I know we've got some questions lined up. So go on.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Sabiha. And you know, great to kind of hear what some people's thoughts are in the chat as well. We've got a really, really good audience with us today, which is fab. Now, you and I, obviously, we talk a lot about career theory kind of outside of the show. And I know a number of careers professionals are the same. You know, love talking about different careers theories, where they've kind of fitted into, you know, sort of their lives and work. But I guess just as a sort of starting point, you know, for you, what kind of career theories really kind of get you thinking, yes, that's something that I really relate to, or something that I really enjoy using? What I guess are your favourites?
Oh, do you know what? Thanks, Chris, for that. So I'll probably start off with a little bit of an overview, because one, I want to talk to you, the student viewer that's watching this, that's perhaps just come into the profession, you know, who is sort of studying to become either a registered or, you know, leveling up, you know, topping up on some qualifications. But also as well, I'm talking to you, the seasoned professional who's been in industry. And, you know, as I said, you know, I had to dust off some of my books to sort of kind of prepare for this show. And sometimes when we get so bogged down with the day-to-day, we can sort of kind of step away from this. So I just want to kind of bring some context. Now, career development theories, if you know this, great. It's a refresher for those of you that perhaps maybe are learning about this. It's wonderful for me to sort of kind of introduce you as a refresher for this. Now, career development theories for the past 75 years fall into sort of kind of 4 categories. And I'm kind of particularly focused more on the Western world of career development theory, because I know that, myself included, I've worked internationally, that this doesn't necessarily play out. But I'd love to hear, if you are working internationally, then let me know where do you find, you know, where do these following 4 categories play their part? And so, you know, category 1, I would say, is the trait factor. This is all about matching personality traits to occupations, and that was very much Frank Parsons in the 1920s that sort of kind of developed that. theory model. Then you had psychological. So this is all around personality type matching, work environments, Holland, right, in the 1980s. Then we have decision, situational or sociological, Bandura, self-efficacy, and that came out, those years came out in the 1970s. And then you have developmental. That's all about self-concept, and over the lifespan, and very much super in the 1950s was very popular for that. And we're going to be including links if you want to learn more about these theories, or maybe you're like, oh my god, I completely forgot about that is it, the decision, situational or sociological, Bandura theory. Oh, let me go and take a look. We've included a link. Now, you only get access to the show resources document if you are a member. So if you're watching this right now and you're thinking, I'm not a member right now and I'd love to become a member, again, head on over to the CDI website. So not only do you get access to these shows, anybody can watch these shows on any of the platforms that we are live streaming. But if you want to get the extra bonus stuff, which are the show resources, you do have to be a member to get access to them. And so you asked me, Chris, what my favorite one is. One of the most there's so many to pick one for, but the one that I use most popularly, and I mentioned that I also train and I upskill and I empower international career coaches. And this is one of my go-to ones. And it's known as Sampson's SIP model, which we all love an acronym, which stands for Cognitive Information Processing Model. And Chris, have you got this? Is it, there we go. Thank you, Chris. Chris sort of brought that up. And who doesn't love this, this type of model? And there's several reasons why I love this. And if you haven't heard of this, let me know. Have you heard of Sampson's model? Are you using this model? Maybe you've never heard of it and you're like, oh my God, Sabiha, this is new, right? So great, let me introduce you to it. And if for those of you that already know it and are familiar with it, excellent. Let me know in the chat box, how do you use it? How do you introduce it? So what this model does is identifies the gaps within a career problem that exists that exists in state of career indecision, when we have clients who are indecisive, and and it allows a more desirable state of readiness to make decisions. It supports, as career professionals, helping our clients in making career, career decisions, but also it supports in the career making process that not only encompasses the individual career choice, but it also entails a commitment. And so for any of you driven, ambitious career professionals who are delivering, career guidance, career support, you want a commitment from your clients, so that this entails that commitment to be able to carry out the action that is necessary to implement the choices that the client will need to make. So you have four quadrants. You've got high complexity, high, low, and low capacity. And somewhere within this model is where your clients will fall into. And by knowing where your clients are, where their readiness is with regards to taking action towards their career growth action plans, will allow you as a career professional to enable and support in the best possible way so that you can create that transformation. Because let's be honest, complexity, the career problems that our clients face vary from various challenges that may occur, and that can include things within the career space, but also outside, such as family and financial situation and the environment that they are currently in right now. And the more complex, the situation and the complexity that the client has, the higher the complexity, that often leads to lower readiness. So how do we engage? How do we motivate? How do we make sure that we create that impact, we create that transformation? So that's one of the models that I like to use. Chris, how about you? What are your favorites?
Thanks, Sabiha. Yeah, and I think some of the audience have picked up my favourites for me, which is really nice. So get some really, really good engagement in the chat. I just want to pick up on a couple of comments before I come on to my response, because we've got some absolutely fantastic answers in here, real insights from people talking about their own favourite career theories. But a couple of people are also saying Sampson, yep, great for prioritising. A couple of people who use this sort of model already, which is brilliant. We've got people pointing out some of the names you've already mentioned, like Bandura, which Karen Parry's brought forward. But also what's really nice is we're seeing some different examples that perhaps we haven't mentioned so far. So there's a great comment here from one of our Facebook users talking about an example of a model developed in New Zealand in the 1980s, which is quite a holistic model. which is found on the Careers New Zealand website. Really good example of perhaps a cultural model that perhaps we maybe don't use necessarily, kind of in, say, Western Europe or kind of the Northern Hemisphere, but something that exists and has got a lot of grounding in kind of more holistic career theory. So great, thank you so much, Facebook user, for sharing that. Quite a lot of people have commented on exactly the sort of career theories I was going to mention, and we talked about this kind of word of relatability. So for me, career theories that resonate with me the most are definitely the ones that I feel are very relatable. Two that really come to mind: Planned Happenstance, which people have mentioned already, and the idea of the luck readiness index, linked to the chaos theory of careers from Brighton Pryor. So those two for me are really, really relatable. I think because they essentially focus on that idea of non-linear career development rather than kind of that sort of more structured trait and factor or kind of matching approach type career theory. So very much about the idea of acknowledging that life is unpredictable, your career is unpredictable, and it's about actually thinking about the things that you can do in order to manage your career, curiosity, adapting to different opportunities. And I'm going to kind of share a couple of examples from both of these theorists in a second. So those to me, the ones that are very relatable and kind of quite practical in the way that you can talk about them. They're not just career theories that you can use, I think, to contextualize your interactions with clients, but also things that practically you can talk about with clients, which is something I'm going to come on to a little bit later on. But yeah, I'd say those probably two for me are two that really kind of stand out, definitely.
Well, it's funny, Chris, because as you were sort of kind of sharing that, there's more comments sort of kind of coming through. So firstly, loving the audience today. You guys are on fire. So loving to keep them coming in. And if you're watching and you're thinking, damn, I missed this live. I know a couple of you have joined in. Thank you for letting us know. That's okay. Remember, that's why we record the show. Because maybe you say, I've just joined in late. Damn, don't worry. It's recorded. So if you want to go back and watch the beginning, or you're watching this on the replay, then by all means do so. I'm just going to bring in some of the comments that have also come through as well. It's funny because I've got people now that we're talking about these series, people jumping in and going, yeah, I like that one too. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And this is exactly what we were looking for, and adding more in, because the reality of it is, isn't it, Chris? Okay, that we're not just going to use one model or one theory. There's going to be lots that we're going to, and as you develop your own practice. So if I've got any sort of kind of tips for those of you that are just starting out in this profession and you're watching this and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, like maybe you've had your head stuck in the books, looking at all these different theory models, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm never going to understand it. Here's the thing, if I've taken anything, and I'm sure Chris will talk about this as well through the show as well, you do find your own groove, and eventually you will find that the theories that resonate with you the most. But also as well, I also think as well, it's about what client group you're working with as well. I think certain models, and if you're, and Chris is nodding his head, and if you're nodding your head, then again, jump into the comments, let us know. Did you find that perhaps maybe you were working with one particular theory model when you first started out as a professional, or maybe you're working with a particular type of group of people, client group that you were serving, and then now maybe you've moved into a different area, maybe you started off in HG and you're working with students, and then now you're working with more mature career developers, and you're finding that different models work better, they fit more better because of where your client group is. I don't know, I'm putting it out there. Have you found that? I know I found that. I think Chris is nodding his head and saying that he's found that. Somebody just mentioned, again, I don't have the name, Samson is good for triage. We'll be talking about this model on Friday at the Complete Careers Leaders Conference. So if you haven't already, if you're going, that's excellent. Somebody else is saying, we'll take a look at that. Carolyn's just come in and said, really, one of her favorites is really holistic way to look at things, a door opener to exploring barriers too. Because again, that's one of the things that we're trying to do, aren't we? We're trying to break down those barriers. We're trying to shift our clients, help our clients, because often our clients will come to us feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed out, stuck in a place that they don't want to be in their careers, and are looking to us, or turning to us as the professionals. And the better equipped we are, the better we are. Because I don't know about you, Chris, but I never sit in a session telling my clients, oh, by the way, today we're going to be doing the symptom tip model, right? It's more about the underpinning sort of knowledge and information that we have as career professionals. Narrative theory is so helpful to help clients hear their stories, connect their past to their present, and get impetus to write new chapters. I've got another Facebook user saying, I do lots of things in the fringe economy of sustainable living, particularly food growing and people setting up community interest companies. Career is a problem word. It's more about livelihood. I love that. I love how, I don't know who you are, but I love how you've taken the work that we're doing, and then molding it, personalizing it to your audience rather than that employability status implied by career. I like livelihood as it is inclusive of a whole way of living. What are your thoughts? Do you resonate with this? Do you think, no, the word career should be included? If you're adamant and you feel strongly about that, let us know. There's tons more comments coming through. So thank you. Please do bring that in. And actually, there's a discussion happening right now in the community about livelihood suggests how you earn to live. Not really thought about this term before, but that's how I would interpret it, making me think. So whoever started that key thought, thank you so much. I can see some people are mentioning bill laws, and I know that's going to be coming in for us as well. But Chris, career theories are always fascinating, aren't they, to talk about? But practically, how much do we actually use them in our interaction with our clients? And how do you sort of kind of incorporate your understanding of career theory within your practice, Chris?
Yeah, it's a great question, isn't it? And I think, one thing that we're seeing, through the chat and engagement with the audience is we've got a lot of people with a lot of expertise in career theory who clearly are being able to bring this into their practice, which is fantastic to see. I think for me, there's kind of two things really. So I kind of separate career theory, or my understanding of career theory, into kind of two areas. One is, I guess, things that I consider when I have interventions with clients, but I don't necessarily explicitly talk about them. And then there are career theories which actually sometimes I do explicitly talk about because I think there's a value to that. So I kind of would break those down, into those sort of two areas. I'm going to share a couple of examples because I think sometimes it can kind of help to contextualize it. So the first one I'm going to talk about is systems theory. So I was actually at the CDI student conference on Wednesday last week. I'm going to say Wednesday or Thursday. Okay. And Jill Frigerio presented a really, really great kind of session about using systems theory from Patton and McMahon to think about kind of our individual sort of career learning needs. I'm not going to go into this in loads of detail, but essentially systems theory, fairly kind of straightforward, thinking about, the influences that basically internal and external factors and the passing of time, has on people's kind of individual career journeys. But actually, it's quite useful because Jill was talking about that interaction between the practitioner and the client, and actually the fact that, these influences will affect both the practitioner and the client, and us kind of being mindful of that when we're having that interaction. One of the examples that she actually gave was around, thinking about sort of biases. And one thing that sort of came to mind for me was, I'm somebody who's changed a lot within my career. I've changed job roles, I've changed organizations. Right. And whether that actually made me think, do I have a bias towards people changing organizations? So that if a client says to me, I'm thinking about this change, am I really positive? Because for me, it's such a positive thing. And although we kind of obviously always try to avoid that sort of implicit bias, in our interactions, it's those sort of things, it's using those theories to help yourself be more aware of what those potential biases might be. So I think those type of kind of theories are really, really useful for thinking about the context. And also I think for thinking about maybe the structural inequalities as well, not focusing too much on individual agency at the expense of, well, actually, are there structural barriers that I haven't faced that other people have faced, and do I need to bear that in mind? So I think those kind of top down, sort of big theories are the ones where I kind of think about them, that they play a part in my thinking about interactions with clients. But then certainly in terms of actually things that I might verbalize with clients, things like planned happenstance, chaos theory, which I'm going to show in a second, and the DOTS model that people have talked about, those are things that you can actually, I think, articulate, because they are actually a very kind of sensible, common sense way of framing career development. So again, I'm just going to share my screen really quickly and go through a couple of these, because I think these work particularly well, when we're actually having conversations directly with clients. Hopefully you can see that okay, Sabiha.
I can. Viewers, can you? Viewers, let us know. I can. It's coming up loud and clear on my screen. I hope it is for you as well, viewers. So let us know. And remember, all of these, everything that we're talking about here today, remember, we're talking from our own personal experience, aren't we, Chris? This is sort of kind of the things that we love and know. But also as well, we're sharing it with you because we want to crack open this debate and this conversation. And we clearly seem to have done that, because, wow, you guys are on fire today. I mean, the amount of comments, that are coming through. So yes, that's wonderful. So Chris, go on, take over. Planned Happenstance theory.
No, so just, I'm not going to again go through these in detail, but, for me, those sort of theories like planned happenstance and chaos theory that really focus on that non-linear, unpredictable nature of careers, it's these sort of things, these kind of words or these sort of keywords, that idea of being open-minded, being curious, being flexible, the idea of kind of risk taking, not necessarily in kind of the sense of, I guess kind of risk is a difficult one because it means different things to different people, but that idea of taking chances and not necessarily being sure of where they can take you. And again, similar with kind of chaos theory from Brighton Prior, thinking about things like, what can you actually control or what can't you control? And, again, using maybe some of these to kind of help clients set themselves goals, but sometimes framing it in the sense of saying, actually, these are things that are grounded in real theory that can be useful for you to know about. And I've certainly talked about things like chaos theory and planned happenstance in careers education sessions, because I think a lot of the students I've worked with have an actual interest in the theory as well, which is quite nice. And equally, things like Laura Watts's DOTS model, or the DOTS 2 model that people have mentioned in the chat. Again, that also kind of provides, I think, that sort of framework, that idea of going, okay, can I actually put down a sort of more simplified way of thinking about career development that I can then kind of contextualize within my sort of conversation with the advisor I'm talking with. So I think some of these kind of theories that perhaps have a bit more relatability for me are really useful with clients. And also things like Edgar Schein's career anchors, talking about motivations and actually building that into resources that you use with clients. So these are examples of some of the cards I made based on Schein's career anchors theory. And these are things that I use kind of quite regularly in interventions with clients. So I think it is very much that case of, some theory can be used to kind of ground your general thinking about interventions, and some of it I think can be used explicitly, but it depends, as you say, on the client group, on the people you're working with, on the situation. So Sabiha, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit already, but anything extra to add here, I guess?
I did. Oh my God. Well, I mean, I kind of feel as if I need to put my opinion to one side because the chat is just blown up. And I'm also like, wow, okay, we've got 3 minutes left of this show and there is no way that I'm going to be able to cram in all of the comments that are flying through thick and fast right now. So firstly, just carry on. Here's the thing, okay, you might find that you want to continue this debate after the show because it's prompted you, it's inspired you, it's triggered something in you, sort of kind of to think about these things. So please do. This is one of the aims of the show today. And there's lots of sort of kind of comments, people sharing, loving the chaos theory slides. You've really found a theme which pulls a really engaging audience. Brilliant stuff. Thank you for that, Carolyn. It really seems to have. Chris Webb, your career anchors cards inspired me to make my own. Thank you. This is, whoever you are, that's exactly what we're sort of kind of looking for. And I guess, I mean, I would love to go into more detail, but maybe this is going to be a show number 2 that we do this because we are literally running out of time, Chris. So here's one thing that I did want to quickly mention as we wrap up and bring the show to a close today. Something that really isn't really talked about necessarily, or at least it wasn't taught to me when I was learning this, and this was, let's be honest, more than a decade ago, is a model that I like to use because I find that from a lot of my client group base, and again, we've talked about how we work with our clients, my clients are looking for sort of understanding of where they are, what that means, what their careers means to them, not only in their careers, but also in their greater world. And I find the Johari window model, and the Johari window model is a psychological tool created by Joseph Luff and Harry Ingham in the sort of kind of mid-50s. And it's a simple and useful tool for understanding who you sort of kind of are. And again, it's that quadrant model. We'll include resources and links to this information so that you can look at that. And that's definitely one of the model, a few tools that are out there. I like it because there's an emphasis on soft skills, such as behaviors such as empathy and cooperation, working in a group, interpersonal development. And it's a great model to use because of its simplicity, I find, and also because it can be applied in a variety of situations and environments as well. And so I know we wanted to walk away and provide some tips and some resources and some links to things, Chris. So let's, I think we're finishing off right with some tips, Chris, and what websites or books or resources that we'd like to recommend to our viewers, who are looking to get stuck into more career theory following this episode. So I'm just going to quickly mention, I've got few more than what I'm going to mention right now, but we haven't got time to go into them. So what I'll do is we'll include them in the show resources document. And I guess the ones that are, I think there's 2. Okay, which one am I going to pick? There's so many. Okay, so there's some great videos. Okay, so these are the 2 that I'm going to share right now. And if you want more, as I said, I've included more, head on over to the show resources document, and you do need to be a member of the CDI to get access to this bonus. So number one is a career development theory videos, okay? For some of us learners, okay, a textbook isn't always the best way to absorb information from. And I find that this website on study.com has some great content video around sort of kind of the career development theory video. So that's number one that I'm going to recommend. And then I think for me as a student, okay, your reading list is probably already so extensive. So I wanted to share one that you might not see on your reading list. Or for those of you that are curious professionals and you're looking to sort of kind of up your game and enhance your knowledge and CPD points, I'd recommend Career Development in Counselling Theory and Practice in a Multicultural World by May Tang. And again, we'll include the details. And then finally, I was really fortunate that the Career Catalyst, aka Anne Elizabeth Wilson, who's head of careers at University of Warwick, gave me the opportunity to recently write about helping your clients get unstuck. And I wrote about a particular model that I use, which is known as the I Am Thriving Biohack. And all of those details are on the website, and the links of which I will include. So Chris, what are your few favorite ones? What have you got? What did you include on your list? Because I know you've got a couple of blogs.
Yeah, I've got a long list as well. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm just going to pick up a couple of questions really quickly. So people just asking, a couple of Facebook users, where do we find these resources? For those who kind of not been on, if this is your first time watching the show, if you're on the Facebook community of practice, which you must be because you're commenting on the thread from Facebook, which is great, what we do is we upload a PDF with all of these resources on shortly after the show. As Sabiha's mentioned, Facebook community of practice. If you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube, if you're a CDI member, look for the CDI Professional Development Community of Practice. This is where we put all of our show resources, and if you're a CDI member, you can access them. So do keep a lookout for that. I've got a few different ones that I'm going to share. And the main one I would say is that Tristram Hooley's got some great videos of kind of introduction to career theory, which is a great way of breaking down those kind of 4 subsets that Sabiha talked about at the top of the show. And it's quite a nice way of getting an introduction if you feel that you're kind of less in tune with career theory, you've got less experience in this area. And also there's some brilliant people to follow. So Tom Staunton, someone's just shared his blog in the chat, Running in a Forest. Leanne Hambley's great to follow for career theory. Mark Saunders did some brilliant blogs around career theory and philosophy. There's some fantastic stuff out there. So yeah, we'll include all of it in the show resources document. But as we are running out of time, Sabiha, we are going to have to move on directly to the CDI news. So straight back to you. What are we looking at so far in the CDI news for this week?
Oh, thank you everybody for making today's show, our final show of the series, so engaging, so fun to do. So in terms of the CDI news, as always, I'm always like, what am I going to pick? Because there's so much to do. So there's a couple of things that I've kind of highlighted that I'm kind of picking up on. So number one, earlier this week, a few days ago, our CEO sent us an update, changes within the CDI. Okay, so I just wanted to sort of kind of make a nod to that, where he was talking to and referencing to the sort of handover of the CDI presidency from Dave Caldwell to Carolyn Parry, as well as them launching the CDI 2025 strategy as part of their strategy. Okay, they're going to be, they've completed the planning phase of the digital transformation program, which they're looking at redeveloping the digital services that are made available to members and also to the wider community. You don't have to actually be a member of the CDI to get access to some of the resources. Obviously, some are exclusive for members only, and rightly so. But then there are many other resources that actually can be accessible by people who are not members. And the aim being to create more value for members and non-members and be scalable and flexible for the future. We're also hearing, sadly, for those of you that have been in the community, that Alison Dixon is retiring from the CDI, and they are currently recruiting, the CDI currently recruiting a new editor for Careers Matters. Speaking of which, the Careers Matters came out recently, so did you get your copy? And also as well, Joe is moving on as well. So CDI are advertising for a new business development manager as well as an editor for the Careers Matter to build on both the excellent work that has been done by these phenomenal ladies. So if you are interested, then head on over to the CDI website. There's information about that. The CDI is also, for the very first time, in the process of hiring their new equality, diversity, inclusion strategy. Coordinator Associate, and the aim of there is to help them, the CDI, progress with the EDI strategy and activities and make the CDI and career development a place where everyone can thrive. There is, of course, tickets have now gone live for the 100 Years of Careers, so head on over to the website. There's more details about what's going to be happening, how much the tickets are, and I know there is an early bird sort of discount. And then there are some free webinars as well. There's tons of free webinars that are coming up, a great way of keeping up to date with your CPD. There's some coming up, Digital Bites, in a few days' time, in 5 days' time, and tons more in May too. So please do head on over, and the link of all of those that are coming up I've included. Chris, are you going to be talking about what the CDI are doing for the Ukraine refugees, or shall I just include that in the show resources document? So that's me done.
Yeah, no, I think we've dropped that in the show resources document. Again, I think most people have seen this possibly through social media already, but if you're interested in supporting the CDI's work in basically kind of helping Ukrainian refugees who are coming to the UK, do check out their sort of information that's on the CDI website. Go to the CDI's LinkedIn page, for example, Facebook page, and you'll find the details on there in terms of some of the stuff that they're doing, the campaign that they're doing at the moment. Encouraging people to volunteer their support for helping Ukrainian refugees later this year. So do check that out. We have included full details in the show resources document though. I've just got 3 news stories this week, lots more actually in the show resources themselves. As usual, we're spoiled for choice at the moment with careers news. It's everywhere, which is great. So 3 kind of eclectic pieces for you this week, Sabiha. The first is a virtual conference coming up in July from DMH Associates. That's Dr. Deirdre Hughes. It's the Be Bold, Be Brave virtual career conference. There's going to be some fantastic speakers attending that event. Early bird tickets on sale now. Not bad value at all. From a CPD perspective, 3 days of the conference, loads and loads of great webinars, sessions, panel events that you can attend, and I've included the link to that again on the show resources document. Second story, because I love Pot Noodle. Pot Noodle have just released a virtual internship platform for young people, which I would highly recommend people check out. They partnered with a range of different employers to offer virtual work experiences for young people that have missed out on these opportunities during the pandemic, and it's through Pot Noodle, so it's kind of quite unique, and you'll remember it even if you.
What student did eat pot noodles when they were student? I mean, maybe you're having pot noodles right now. You're watching us and you're tucking into a pot noodles. If you are, take a picture, please, and post it.
Yeah, Pot Noodle and Careers was the collaboration we didn't know we needed, but we need it. So it's just
Pot noodle.
And then the final story, really interesting article in The Guardian about basically a journalist who's kind of approached a number of kind of successful musicians about what life was like after the fame disappeared, basically. I think the approach of the article, I think sometimes is a bit problematic in that it's almost suggesting that people only got into music for fame, and some people obviously are really interested in music. But what was really nice is just kind of how they looked at how these kind of successful musicians have navigated their career after kind of the peak of their success, usually at quite a young age, late 20s, early 30s. So really, really interesting, and I guess sort of encourages a lot of questions for us as careers professionals if we're either encountering clients from similar backgrounds or kind of going through similar situations, and a great way to apply career theory as well to some famous names. So that brings us really nicely to the end of the show. Just before we go,
I was going to say before we go.
Yes, I've just seen in the chat.
Have you seen
Pot Noodle theme? So yes, flavour of Pot Noodle is my favourite. Curry, I would say. Do you like the curry?
Okay.
It's got to be current. And just to answer Carolyn's point as well, we will also be including information about the primary schools poster competition that the CDI are running as part of the 100 Years of Careers in our show resources document. We'll put that in there as well. So it's been a jam-packed show. As always, we've run out of time. We are going to be back. This is our season finale, but we're not going to have too long a break this time. We're actually going to be back on Wednesday, the 11th of May, so only a few short weeks away. We're going to be dropping on social media over the next couple of weeks our full schedule for the next season, what that's going to look like, and some of the great guests that we're going to be having, including 2 of our guests who rearranged from this season. So we're going to be getting their shows in the next season. You don't have to wait too long for that. But until then, thanks very much for everyone who's joined us today. Fantastic chat, fantastic engagement. And thank you to everyone who's joined us this series. It's been fabulous having you. Big thank you, obviously, to all of our guests who've been here in the series. And of course, Sabiha, over to you for the final word. massive thank you for all your work on the series as well.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We hope you've enjoyed watching us and learning and growing your professional practice as much as we have. Thank you, as always, to our viewers and to the team behind this, because Chris and I do work together, and obviously a lot of work and effort goes into it, but there is a team of CDI team behind us that support us. So thank you to all of you as well. And so without further ado, enjoy. Thank you. I mean, the comments is blowing up again. So, and we'll see you in May, on the 11th of May. So till then, take